Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Laurel Dessau, and I will be your host for today. Today's session is about transforming your data into action with TIBCO Connected Intelligence, and this will be presented by Mr. Bashar Khalil, who is Vice President and Head of Global Pre-Sales for Bahwan Cybertech TIBCO. As I welcome Bashar on board and invite him to kickstart the webinar, let me share a little bit more about this presenter. Mr. Khalil boasts more than 14 years digital technology and transformation experience, enabling global organizations to reach their digital destinations through large technology transformation projects. His knowledge as a proficient leader in digital architecture and cloud transformation has enabled customers to define and design future modern enterprise frameworks and architectures covering latest cloud and hybrid deployment patterns and technologies. Bashar has worked with customers on extensive projects, transforming enterprise into agile and high-performing businesses by focusing on core-to-edge innovation, microservices, DevOps, and cloud-native architectures over and above the latest digital transformation solutions, where he has engaged with the largest enterprises in the Middle East, North Africa, and Greater India region across various industries. Bashar, it is a pleasure to have you with us today, and we look forward to your webinar. Just a little housekeeping before we hand over to Mr. Khalil. The webinar will be approximately 45 minutes to 1 hour long. If you have any questions during the presentations, please type them into the question box in your Zoom control panel. As the moderator, I will be more than happy to bring them up during the session, and we will also have time for questions at the end of the presentation. I kindly request you all to keep your microphones muted while the session is in progress to avoid any background distractions. So, ladies and gentlemen, now it is time to turn your data into action. Over to you, Bashar.
Thank you, L'Oreal. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all for your attendance, and I hope you're all and your families are all safe. It's a true pleasure for me today to present to all of you and talk about TIBCO's Connected Intelligence and how it can help you to transform your data into actions and how it can help you to manage the end-to-end data journey. I'll just start with the disclaimer slide that I have to put. Next, L'Oreal. Okay, so just a quick and brief introduction about TIBCO as a company. TIBCO has been working with more than thousands of customers for more than 20 years around the globe who rely on TIBCO platform to build one of the most amazing experiences. We work with our customers across different industries like telcos, banks, manufacturers, pharmaceuticals, which is a hot industry today, where TIBCO really works with many, 8 of the top 10 pharmaceuticals to accelerate drug discovery and to improve the manufacturing, quality, process, and planning for the whole manufacturing cycle. And this is the beauty of the TIBCO platform, that it's applicable to all kinds of industries and applicable to all kinds of problems. Next slide. Yeah. So I think today the question is not about shall we plan to digitally transform or not, as I believe everyone today is doing it, and there is literally no escape from it. In fact, I truly believe, I was actually discussing that with one of my friends lately, and he told me that COVID-19 is probably the last nail in the coffin of the physical world. And it's all about virtual digital world powered by technologies today. And in fact, the question today is how can I become a digital leader and not a digital laggard who are trying but failing with their digital transformation journey? This slide really depicts a recent Harvard study, and I encourage you all to go through that study, that compares between those digital leaders and digital laggards. And it clearly highlights that digital divide between both of them in terms of the revenue the operating profit growth and return to shareholder growth, that digital leaders are able to deliver more to their organizations. 5 times revenue growth, 8 times operating profit growth, 2 times return to shareholder growth. And when you look at it, you might think that the digital leaders, they have more money, they're spending more money on technology. But what's interesting really about this slide, which is not actually shown here in this study, is that the technology spend of digital leaders is only slightly higher than the digital laggards. On average, it's around 3.5 to 3.2% of the revenues. So both of them are spending the same amount of money into technologies, but some of them are leading in their digital transformation. They're able to deliver a better customer experience and delight their customers. They're able to optimize their operations by implementing solutions like predictive maintenance for their assets, remote diagnosis for their equipment, which is very critical at this time, to be able to manage their end-to-end supply chain journey, have a real-time visibility over their inventory. And most importantly, those digital leaders are able to deliver more innovation when it's really needed. Today, for example, telcos, they have to be able to launch new packages that enables and powers working from home or education from home, literally anything from home. Banking, they need to really work more and more on their digital channels, on their digital services, and think of new ways how they can deliver new experiences for their customers during these unprecedented times that we're living in, like contactless payments, banking from home, and many, many other services. So, and I really think, Lori, if you can move to the next slide, please. And I really think that those digital leaders will be able to deliver more safer experience, which is very much needed today. And I think many customers, including myself, I probably would compromise on the overall experience just to get a safer experience. So imagine if you're going to a bank and you're just going bypassing that bank, and the bank detects that you are close to their branch, and they immediately send you a notification to the app and tell you, Mr. Bashar, we're sorry, but to ensure social distancing, we have enough people in our branch now. Go to our next branch, which is only 4 minutes away. So that's phenomenal safer experience. And I think safer experience will be one of the new buzzwords that we will hear more and more, even more than omni-channel experience, because I think this is what's critical these days. So you get this notification from the bank, and they give you the location of the other branch. But that doesn't mean, like, if you implement the right technology, the right platform, that doesn't mean that if you want to deliver safer experience that you need to compromise on the overall experience. So the bank can actually, Laura, if you can click, please. The bank can actually give you that safer experience, but give you that message and tell you, by the way, your Uber ride is on us. So this is what I really think the digital leaders will be able to even lead in these unprecedented times and deliver not only great customer experience, but a safer experience, which is pretty much needed today. So what's really the question today is what digital leaders are doing differently, why they're leading, and why we have digital laggards. What's really the secret? And as this slide is showing, and to simply put, data is the secret. Digital leaders are able to really approach those digital opportunities with a different strategic mindset. And that reflects on the different operating models that they are executing, relying more and more on data. Data is the key. They have a comprehensive data acquisition, data management, and data analytics strategy that differentiates them from their competitors based on their data platform. And what this means is, if you manage to do this, it means that the business users of those organizations are more likely to have access to a consistent set of up-to-date metrics that they need for their daily decision makings. And those organizations will be able to generate predictions about their business from that data that they are collecting on a daily basis. So in a nutshell, and really relating it to the topic of this session, they are able to transform the data, the huge data that they have, to predictions effectively, to better customer experiences, to better operation optimization, and to ultimately to innovation. In fact, as I was putting this slide, I was thinking of this two words, digital leaders and digital laggers. I think today we should call them data leaders and data laggers. So really, data is the new battlefield, and it's crystal clear situation that organizations' future depends on how quickly and efficiently we can really tap on the power of the data and how we innovate, collaborate, and grow. Okay, so we know the secret for the digital leaders. Let's look at why the digital laggers are lagging behind. What's the problem with the data and how they are managing the data? It's really because of data disparity. Loria, if you can click, please. It's because of data disparity, where data is mined in disparate silos. It's actually mined. So enable for these organizations, for them to be able to extract that data from this disparate solutions and fragmented solutions and systems that they have. It's just like gold mining, or probably today we should say Bitcoin mining. It's very difficult. It's very hard. And even after they do that, data is inconsistent, it's fragmented, there are multiple duplicates, they cannot rely on it, which as a result, it undermines the quality of decisions across the whole company. It's just become, you know, very difficult to make any decision that would bring a positive outcome. It will increase the risk, reduce the security, because you know, we don't know who's owning this data and who's accessing it and where did it come from. Eventually it's going to reduce the whole efficiency and drive the IT cost up. So and we can, as I said, so digital laggers are trying, but they're failing, and they probably have done multiple attempts, but it's just they don't have that comprehensive a platform that allow them to exploit the benefits of the data and truly treat it as a strategical asset. Ariel, if we can move to the next one, please.
Before you continue, so all participants, if I can ask you to remain on mute, please, so that we can avoid background distractions. Sorry, Vijaya, if I can ask you to please put yourself on mute. Thank you. Please go ahead,
Thank you, Loria. Thank you, Loria. Okay, so data leaders, data laggers, they have all kinds of issues with the data. So how to solve this problem? What's the secret formula to get the best out of our data? And if we really come to think about this problem, it's truly an impossible one. Just if you try to really close your eyes, like every one of us try to imagine our organizations, the different systems that we have, the different applications, on-premise, on cloud, hybrid, different databases, the different users, the different reports I need to generate, the different governance I need to put in. It's very challenging, and it's literally an impossible problem. But luckily, as we all know, there is always a solution for everything. And sometimes the solutions are much simpler than the problems themselves. And we truly believe that the solution for this impossible problem is very simple, and it lies in 3 core steps. First thing is to be able to connect to the data. So we need a platform that helps us to connect to our data wherever is this data. Is it on premise, on ground, on the cloud, under the water if we have submersible pumps or drilling machines, it's on IoT devices. I need to be able to get and mine and extract all these data at real time, in batch, in all kinds of patterns. That's the first important step that we need to achieve. So that's I need a platform that can help me with that. Then after I connect and get all of this data, I need to be able to ensure that this data is unified, is trusted, is governed. It's consistent. It ensures the security policies that allows only the needed people to access the data that they are eligible to access. So I need a platform that can help me to be able to unify the data that I have connected. Now, once I've done that, this is where I reach to the third step, which is the augment and predict step, to be able to look at the data that I have connected and that's managed and that's trusted, and to be able to extract these insights at batch or at real time and be able to take real-time actions and decisions based on these data that I have connected to and that I have managed. So it's very simple 3 steps that's the solution for this impossible program, and to really transform data laggards and digital laggards to become digital leaders and data leaders. So we need that comprehensive platform that helps us in implementing these 3 steps. Let's look what's that platform looks like. In TIBCO, this is all what we do, literally. In TIBCO, we only do these 3 simple things. We help you to connect, we help you to unify your data, ensure it's governed, it's consistent, it's a data that you can trust, you can use to deliver critical decisions, and we help you to analyze and extract insights from this data and to be able to deliver predictions at real time. This is all what we do. So, and we call that combined platform that gives you these abilities to connect and unify and predict, TIBCO Connected Intelligence platform. And the beauty of this platform is that, as I said before, you cannot rely on connectivity only, you cannot rely on intelligence only. Those 2 things have to be blended together so you can really deliver that anticipated value, and that helps you to transform and take informed actions on every single event that's happening in your organization, that helps you to optimize your customer experience, that helps you to optimize your operations, and that helps you to really drive innovation. Next, Dorian. And I'm just going to take one example on how this is really relevant to every organization, especially today, as we're all going through this COVID-19 situation. We've been talking to many government officials on how to deliver a countrywide real-time situational awareness using this TIBCO Connected Intelligence platform. So if you look at the connectivity, for these government officials, it's very important to be able to get all kinds of data from all the critical organizations. That really helps me to flatten the curve of COVID and give you real-time visibility of what's really happening. So the connect capability of TIBCO will help those officials to connect to healthcare institutions. It will give me all the data that I need to know: how many beds are available, what are the medical equipments and resources are available. I can connect to different government entities and health authorities and police departments. I can connect to telcos where it's important to as well use the telco's capability to track and trace subscribers through their networks, to be able to track the COVID patients and their close people. It's very important as we go beyond the COVID-19 situation to be able to connect to critical institutions that we all care about, like our schools and universities, and to be able to get real-time alerts and situations of what's happening there. So that's really what that Connect platform can help us to do, to connect to literally everything and everything in real time. And once I bring all of this data, I can then unify it using the unified platform of TIBCO, make sure that it's a consistent, it's a clean data, it's a data that I can rely on, there are no duplicates, and then I will use this data to really have real-time visibility of all the cases. have real-time ability to manage the crowds in the different situations, in shops, in airports, and in offices, because now I have real-time visibility of of what's happening. I'll be able to literally analyze the outbreak hotspots and predict where there could be other outbreaks in other areas at real time. And most importantly, I will be able to analyze and predict the medical equipment's availability and the availability of hospitals. So based on the case, its location, I know where I need to move that patient to which hospital. So this is really what a platform like the TIBCO Connected Intelligence platform can deliver to organizations. And if I want to drill down into, and just briefly, because I can literally spend hours and hours on this slide, if I want to really drill, just talk a bit about the capabilities of this platform. So if I take the first segment, which is the connect, this is where we have all the ability and capabilities to help you to get that data that's spread around in the different systems of records that you have, manage it, orchestrate it, and apply workflows and apply API management on top of it. So we're talking about messaging for guaranteed delivery and reliable delivery of messaging, core integration and microservices platform, business process management and low-code applications, and most importantly, API management. In this world today, it's all about APIs. So it's very important to be able to participate into this API world and to be able to manage and expose our own APIs as well. So all of that, all of these capabilities is available in our Connect portfolio of the TIBCO platform. Then moving to the Unify segment. And this is where it's really becoming exciting in our platform. TIBCO, we've been doing lots of investment in this area. We've done very crucial 2 acquisitions lately for data virtualization and data management. And these are two things that I'll be highlighting during this presentation. But probably I'll talk a bit about data virtualization, which is very crucial today, that allows us to access data virtually. It's just like how we're all now virtually connecting. We don't need to go physically to our offices to access things. This is what data virtualization delivers. It helps us to access the data from the data sources that we have without the need to move it to a staging or to a central database that I can use for my reporting later on, because that's time consuming. It takes so much time to do that. So data virtualization is an absolute critical capability that I'm literally finding huge interest with every discussion I have with our great customers and partners. And then we have obviously the data management. So data management, it's very critical piece. We recently acquired we acquired Orchestra, one of the leading data management firms, and this technology helps us to do all kinds of data management, for reference data management, for metadata data management, and master data management. So it's a quite powerful Unify segment that helps us to unify all the data that I have connected in the first portfolio. And on top, and this is where all the intelligence and cleverness happens, this is where we talk about our augment and predict segments. So we deliver capabilities around streaming analytics. We connect to real-time data sources from drilling machines, submersible pumps, IoT devices, and manufacturing equipment, and give you real-time visibility of all trading data, and give you real-time visibility of what's really happening. Self-service analytics with TIBCO Spotfire, one of the leading analytics platform that not only delivers simple, sophisticated analytics capabilities, but a very comprehensive one with geolocation analytics, with their streaming BI. Is very, very powerful platform that I'll touch upon shortly. And then the data science piece that gives us the ability to model govern our data science models that we can operationalize with this whole ecosystem. So it's a very powerful platform that combines connectivity, unification of data, and augmentation and predictions. But what's really different in the TIBCO story is that you seamlessly can combine all of these capabilities together, so you can deliver very powerful solutions. And the beauty with the whole platform, it's cloud native. For example, if I talk about the connectivity, I can create my microservices once, for example, or my integration flow once, and then deploy it on-premise on virtual machines, deploy it to container orchestration platforms, whether it's on-premise or on a private cloud or on public cloud, or even deploy it to TIBCO's iPaaS. So the same service, which is a very, very unique innovation. And it's very important these days to have that cloud nativeness and give you that flexibility and freedom to choose where you want to deploy your workloads without any constraints and without any lockdown in a certain roadmap or a certain technology. It's an open platform, so we are continuously investing in open source and embracing open source. We are launching our own open source projects like TIBCO Flogo. We are embracing Kafka, Apache Pulsar, Spark. So we are more and more embracing the open source technologies. And everything that we do, we're working on embedding AI as a core foundation in the different platforms. For example, our analytics platform, it has AI embedded in it, in the sense that as a user, as you're selecting the different data columns that you need to visualize, it recommends to you the best dashboard or the best visualization that you can use in your analysis.
Sorry, are we allowed to ask questions?
If we can just hold the questions until the end, no problem at all.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Arwa. And one critical point really to highlight here is that the TIBCO platform, TIBCO has been known in its neutrality and its openness. When we, like 20 years back, we were talking about we're neutral in terms of where we can deploy our stuff on virtual machines or physical cores or any operating system, working with any database. But this is, so we're still maintaining that, but today this is all changing. We're talking about neutrality in terms of where you want to deploy this to any cloud. If you want to deploy to private clouds or public clouds, or you want to have a hybrid deployments, control what you want to maintain on premise and what you want to push to the cloud, and have that freedom and that flexibility. So this is really the new norm. This is the new neutrality. And this is how we can help you to maintain your digital sovereignty. You don't need to be locked down with one public or private cloud offering that locks you on, and you get all kind of this hidden subscription charges here and there. It's literally that's the power of the TIBCO platform, is to maintain your digital sovereignty, to give you full flexibility where you want to deploy your workloads and utilize every single investment that you have done along the way. Okay, so now I'll move to the next slide, and I'll be talking in this slide. This is all about just to give you an overview of the leadership of the platform, and in the three different segments: in connectivity, unify, and in the predict segment. So you can see we are a leader in the Forrester Wave for the hybrid integration platform. TIBCO's at the top right. We're also in the Unify. There are only two players in this segment for master data management, where TIBCO is a leader with a much simpler unified approach than competition, and that gives you a true multi-domain MDM platform that can really be embraced by business people very easily and ensures the success of MDM projects, which is typically a nightmare for organizations. And on the predict side, you can as well see that we are a leader in the latest analytics and data science report. So really what's unique here in this slide is that TIBCO is the only vendor who are a leader in every single segment of Connect, Unify, Predict in that comprehensive data platform. So it can really help you in the end-to-end data journey. Wherever you want to start, they are all independent modules, but seamlessly connected together to help you with the complex solutions that you want to achieve. Moving to the next slide. And again, relating it to the whole presentation topic, we need to act. Many customers, they have literally enough data, and they have all kinds of insight. It's just they're not able to act on this data. It's very difficult because of, as we said, all of this data is mined in those different silos. And that's really what we're working and doing with our customers, is how we empower them not to just extract those insights and to bring this data, but to make those real-time actions and complex actions. So we've been working with different retailers and telcos and banks on how they can deliver real-time event-based marketing and next best action offers. We've worked with oil and gas customers to have real-time drilling surveillance, or real-time predictive maintenance for their submersible pumps and for the different assets. We've worked with retailers as well, and to have a real-time inventory management for their assets across the data that's accessed from the different channels. We've worked with insurance companies, with airlines to deliver dynamic pricing, banks to prevent frauds, and with supply chains and transportation to optimize routes and anticipate and handle disruptions. And if you look at all these solutions, it's a combination of really lots of data and events coming from different platforms and different systems in different times, and be able to correlate them, apply some machine learning and data science models, and make real-time decisions, such as deliver that personalized price, deliver that personalized action. And moving to the next slide. So what we've done with TIBCO is, Loria, if you can, what we've done with TIBCO is we've combined all of these solutions as an open source accelerators that you can just simply go to. Just Google TIBCO Accelerators, you will find it in the TIBCO community page, and you will be able to download all of these accelerators with the documentation of them, with the best practices and the whole architecture of them, and just really try to customize them for your business. So we have the drilling accelerators, which is perfect for oil and gas operations, that connects to Witsamel and lots of data sources and give them real-time visibility of their drilling operations. So the accelerator delivers that connectivity, delivers the models that's used, and the visualizations that we're using as well out of the box. We've recently released a very exciting accelerator that's called the next best action accelerator, that helps all kinds of retail businesses, telcos, banks, and retailers and airlines to connect and get different events based on customer journey, based on his propensity to buy new things, based on his customer churn models, and to deliver real-time suggestions and offers that customers can take at real time. So if you download this accelerator, you get the models, the propensity models, you get the customer churn models and the data science models, you get the visualization, you get the platform that allows you to define these offers. It's very, very powerful. So we have all kinds of these accelerators. I encourage you all to go through to TIBCO community and look at these accelerators and start playing with all of them. So moving to the next slide. And this is really where all the innovation happens. And so I'll be talking really briefly on how we do this end-to-end analytics capability that delivers what we call the continuous intelligence, and how we help you to transform, how we help you to take that data that we've been talking about and transform it into insights and then into actions using the TIBCO Connected Intelligence platform. So we start with the data, And in the data, this data is basically generated from the different core applications that you might have in your organization, different systems of records, billing, CRM, revenue management, SAP HANA, BSCS, any kind of applications that's moved and around and integrated using the TIBCO integration platform or API management and messaging. Then the innovation is really how we make this data accessible for data analysts, for data scientists, for business users to be able to access this data, as I said before, physically. So you can actually go and connect to your physical data warehouse, and but you can as well connect to this data virtually, which is very, very powerful when it comes to accessing data on demand. And we're going to talk about that innovation in a minute. Then those users are able to easily wrangle, prepare, and explore the data. And they can do literally all of that without relying on IT or expert resources. And most importantly, as we talked about, in a unified manner and with the right governance, where the right people are able to access the right data at the right time, and only those who have controls can access the data. So this is what we do in the data phase. In phase number one, we get you that data where we connect you to your systems, and we ensure that your business users in phase two, which is the insights, are able to access this data. So in phase two, what obviously we need to do is to turn these actions to insights. Data by itself is useless. I cannot do anything with data. I need to extract those insights. And this is what we deliver to you using technologies like TIBCO Spotfire and TIBCO Data Science, where your business can convert these data into actionable insights. So they will be able to visualize and create those models to be able to create those insights. Now, moving to the third one. So I have the data, it's governed, it's cleaned, it's integrated. I managed to extract the insights. I managed to write my models that detects a fraud, or that detects that I will have an issue with my equipment, or my drilling that's happening today is against the trajectory that I had before. So I have all of these insights, but what's the use of these insights if I'm not able to action on them in real time? Because the issue with many organizations is that many of the insights that they discover, they are perishable insights. They lose. It's like anything. It has a shelf life. If you don't use it in the right moment, you simply have wasted lots of time to get that data and lots of time to extract that insight. So what we do in the third phase is we allow you to take these insights and use them to generate informed actions. These actions could be in a form of, it could be a human decision, just notifying people and they need to go and do probably a maintenance, or they need to do, any kind of corrective measures, or it could be really automated decisions, like probably stopping that credit card transaction, it's a fraud, etc. And what we do basically here is that we deploy these insights that we have learned in TIBCO Spotfire and data science. We deploy them to TIBCO streaming platform to generate these actions. And what's really unique here is we can actually deploy these predictive models that we have learned into our streaming platform. So at real time, I can look at these possible fraud transactions, call my fraud detection machine language models, and based on the result that it returns to me, I can stop or allow that fraud. The same thing on a telco experience. I have a customer who is probably facing drop calls now, so I can pick those events from the network and I can call a customer churn model, and if it returns to me that the probability that this customer is going to leave me, is going to churn, is high, then I'll probably give him a very good offer so he can stay with me today. Probably I'll give him, sorry Bashar, you're facing bad coverage, you're facing drop calls, we apologize, we were giving you X amount of money for international calls, or do whatever you want to do with it. So this is really the power, is to take that predictive models, deploy them in the streaming platform. And the fourth cycle is really that learning. We all need that continuous feedback. Whenever we do something, we need that feedback so we can continuously optimize ourselves. So it's that step is very crucial to stay ready for any change, because as you can see, changes are happening every day in real time. External conditions are changing. Even the business demands are always evolving. Market demands, market changes. It's a crazy world that we're living in today. So we need to have that continuous intelligence feedback, which I really believe it's vital to be able to act on the digital business opportunities that we're having today. So this is how we do it in TIBCO, and TIBCO is really one of the few companies that can deliver this end-to-end data to action to learning cycle. And not only we're one of the few companies, but we deliver it with certain innovations that no one else can deliver. And I'm going to talk about these innovations in my next slides. So moving on to the next slide. And as I said, I'll be talking about the innovations and uniqueness points that we have about our approach to data to action. And I'm gonna relate it to our bodies. I'm not gonna teach you guys biology. I'm sure you know more than me, but it's really exciting how everything works in tandem in our body to deliver this connected intelligence that we live every day. So let's start with these different innovations. In the next slide. So I'll start by our neurons. Again, I know a little bit about neurons, but I know that they are very fundamental units that helps us to send and receive signals in our bodies. And this is the neurons is actually what helps us to move our muscles or feel the external world, think or form memories, etc. So it's really that thing that allows to move everything in our body, all kinds of messages. And this is what TIBCO messaging delivers. It allows us to move the data around our enterprise reliably and in a guaranteed manner. And just like how we have different types of neurons in our body, so we have sensory neurons, we have motor neurons and interneurons, and every one of them, they have like its own specialty and its own data pattern access. And this is the same thing applies on TIBCO messaging and what we really see in our organizations. Today, not one messaging capability can serve all the needs that we have in our organizations. We have cloud messaging. We have we need messaging probably for a big data platform for our log messages. We need to have peer-to-peer messaging. We need to have JMS-based messaging. And what the innovation here, as I said before, I'm going to talk only about the innovations. I'm not going to try to explain really the power of every single product. But the innovation here is that we have one single messaging platform that allows you to deliver the right messaging capability based on your requirements. So if you want to do JMS messaging, we have TIBCO EMS. If you want to do Kafka, we actually now today distribute and sell Kafka and support Kafka messaging. If you want to do MQTT messaging, it's there. We distribute MQTT based on the Eclipse Mosquito distribution. If you want to do WebSockets messaging, we have TIBCO ETL. If you want to do really special for traders and for trading platforms where every milliseconds is important, then we have TIBCO Faster Than Light, a peer-to-peer messaging, the fastest messaging platform on earth. And lately we've added Apache Pulsar, one of the new picking up messaging solutions. So it's literally like neurons. You have all kinds of neurons, you have all kinds of messaging capabilities available to you in a single bundle, supported by the guys who actually invented messaging. If we go back in history, if you look at TIBCO guys, it stands for the Information Bus Company. When we started 30 years ago to digitize Wall Street, until today, probably we're running around 2 billion messages in NASDAQ. This is our bread and butter. So when we give you Kafka and we support you in Kafka, that's where you will get a huge benefit out of that. So that's really the first innovation that we have in this data to action. Let's move on to the next innovation, which is around really our central nervous system or our spinal cord. which basically in our body, it carries the different nerve signals from the brain to the other parts of the body. It basically orchestrates all the work in our body, commanding muscles what to do, how to move. It receives sensory input from the neurons, from the messaging. So it transmits information to the brain. So it's basically doing everything. And that's what TIBCO BusinessWorks allows you to do. It connects all your transactional and non-transactional applications. It orchestrates all of that data by allowing you to develop those integration and orchestration flows, or even microservices. But the innovation, I don't want to really talk in details about it. We're going to cover that hybrid integration story in our next webinar that I encourage you all to attend. But really the innovation here is that in TIBCO BusinessWorks, it's adjustable, and it can work with any deployment that you have without the need to change your code. So it has that amazing concept that we call build once and deploy anywhere. So you can write your microservices once, your integration flow once, and then probably today you need to deploy it on virtual machines on premise. Tomorrow, you need to package it as a Docker image or as a Cloud Foundry build pack and push it to private or public clouds, or to AWS Kubernetes or Azure Kubernetes or Google Kubernetes or OpenShift, Pivot to Cloud Foundry. You can do this with the same code. Or probably later on, you're gonna tell TIBCO, I don't have my infrastructure ready, and I want you to manage that. So you deploy to TIBCO iPaaS platform, TIBCO cloud integration without the need to change anything. That's a very, very unique proposition in the market that gives you this huge flexibility, which is very much, I'm working with different customers today, and because of the COVID situation, they found themselves in a situation where they're not able to bring hardwares to their data centers. So though that they've been resisting to go to public clouds, but they had no option. So they started to, they changed their not the architecture, but they changed the philosophy, and they decided to, okay guys, we're gonna deploy things to AWS Kubernetes services. And guess what, guys? Whatever they've done with what they've been developing for their on-premise deployment, they can take the same code, deploy it to AWS Kubernetes, and they've been appreciating that big time. So this is a really major differentiator. So moving to the third innovation, which is around our DNAs, guys. DNA is really the most critical part. And if we relate it to the IT world, it's really it's all about our metadata. It's really what allows us to understand and govern the systems, the data, and ultimately the business. It helps the business to self-service the data catalog, explore it, search it, and provision data. So let's say that you are a data scientist or a business analyst, and you need a data set that helps you with a certain analytical job that you have. Metadata can help you with that. It can tell you what's the best sales data set, the most clean one, the most up-to-date one that you can use for your job. So this is really very crucial step in this whole data to action, because it really shortened the times that those data scientists and business users that they spend on accessing the data and accessing the right data. So TIBCO Cloud Metadata, it's a new offering from TIBCO that helps you to manage your entire metadata in your organization. It helps you to deliver it as a data catalog that business users can search and collaborate from a very intuitive business interface. And what's interesting about it is it comes with a harvesting tool. So it can really go, you deploy it in your ecosystem, it can go and extract those different metadata and expose them in the different in the tool itself, in the business interface that you have, and then you can easily access it. So DNA, our metadata story, is very powerful and pretty much needed for the whole discussion. Moving on to the next one. And as I talked about data virtualization, it's one of those innovations. To me, this is, and the next one I'm going to talk about is really the top innovations that really differentiates TIBCO. So, and it's literally like our memory. So in our memory, guys, whenever we need an information, we find it there. And it's very easy to retrieve this data from our memory. And that's what data virtualization is all about. It's the ability to, today, I'm as a business user, I need to access data that's coming from my data warehouse, from cloud system, from files, from XML. Am I going to wait for the whole ETL data warehouse cycle that might take weeks and months? Can I afford to do this for my business? Can I afford to really have that too late architecture? In most cases, the answer is no. You need to have, and you need to access that data at real time. So this is where data virtualization comes into place. It creates a virtual data lake, a virtual data mart, a virtual data access layer that connects to your backend systems where they are. And when you need the data, it's going to go and bring it to you in the most optimized way. Again, it's a very interesting technology. I encourage you all to go look at it and the benefits that it brings. And the innovation from TIBCO here, the whole TIBCO data virtualization is an actual innovation by itself. But the innovation is what we've done lately, and we are now bringing streaming data into data virtualization. So now you can even virtualize, and that's amazingly and hugely benefit to business users, so they can access the streaming data via data virtualization whenever they need that. Moving to the next piece, which is our eyes and ears, and talking really about the second best innovation, which is streaming BI. I'm sure all of you are familiar with streaming BI. Sorry, with the traditional BI, where basically you have all the data in your data warehouse and your historical database, and then you just simply refresh your dashboards to get the data and watch your KPIs and SLAs, etc. But today, in today's world, this is not going to work. You need to be able to see the data as it's coming. You need to be able to not only query the past, but to be able to really query the present, so you can predict the future. So really, streaming BI flip the traditional BI on its head. It's a huge innovation. L'Oreal, if you can just click one button to play the dashboard here. Yeah, so if you look at this dashboard at the first glance, you might think it's a traditional BI dashboard, but it's actually it's a real-time streaming dashboard that's coming from our partnership with Mercedes, AMG, Petronas team, Formula One. That we're very proud of this partnership, and it really shows real-time location of the car, sensor readings from their suspension and tires, colors. They compare the current conditions to the history. Red means worse than last lap, and the green is better than the best lap. So you're actually looking at what's happening today. There is actually with Mercedes Formula One Petronas, they have 300 sensors on every car, on Hamilton's car. And you can visualize all of that at real time. You can see the car speed, car position, fuel level, gear level, pitch. Everything is live. So it's really amazing. It's very important to be able to streamline all of this data and to be able to visualize it at real time. Moving to the next slide, and this would be the last innovation that we'll be talking about in this whole data to action cycle, and it's really around what we call streaming data science. Again, this is where we flip the traditional data science on its head. Traditional data science is definitely awesome, where it works well for applications that involves conditions that essentially stay the same. So you have the same conditions, everything in your historical database. You create your customer churn model that doesn't evolve, which is fine for many organizations. They can live with that. But streaming data science, it's essential in many cases where conditions, they change frequently and in real time. And those real-time changes and events, they continuously helps us to score our data science models and update those predictions. So for example, when I talked about deploying and injecting those different data science models into TIBCO streaming, we can deploy Java models, we can deploy PML, R, H2O, even TensorFlow and Python models, and they're all can be executed against a sliding window that I can easily define in stream-based against any kind of streaming data, whether it's Kafka, MQTT, drilling data, maintenance data, manufacturing equipment data, all that can happen at real time. So streaming BI, streaming data science is really, and data virtualization is huge, huge innovations and what we deliver. So moving to the really slide that summarizes that innovation and this cycle, and really my advice to you is you need to democratize this whole data to action cycle. It's just like our bodies, where each part that we've talked about today, neurons, CNS, the spinal cord, the memory, the brain, each part does his own job perfectly, and they all seamlessly work together and in tandem. And that's what we deliver to you guys. We empower you. We empower every team with the right tool that helps them to do their job, and everything then works together in tandem to help you get the right data for your business. We cannot just code everything like in the Kafka world. I cannot just go do Kafka and do KSQL and do everything in coding. We need to go with our business. We need to be able to collaborate and empower the business, the operations, the IT. You need to, if I want to summarize everything, it's all about using TIBCO messaging, whether it's Kafka, MQTT for the sensory inputs, access the enterprise DNA with metadata, and access memory with data virtualization, use streaming BIs, the eyes and ears of literally the new modern enterprises. This is how it all can work together in tandem. So it's very important, guys, that we democratize this whole cycle and not to look and sell ourselves in coding or in one capability that can tell us it can deliver everything. We have to democratize everything and look at the best that every tool can deliver in this whole cycle. Moving on to the next slide, and this slide really represents the cycle, the same cycle, the data to action cycle that I've been talking about in this webinar. And this is a collaboration that we are very much proud of with the Mercedes Petronas team and Formula One. And we've been doing this with them for the past number of years, and it's really and they are really perfect example of a digital leader or a data leader. They obviously Hamilton is a great driver, but probably with a bit of help from our data to action platform. It gave them the edge as well. So Formula One team, they rely on our streaming BI and streaming data science and getting all the Kafka messages and getting all the data from the 300 sensors that they have. It's all about analyzing race data in real time, advising Hamilton and the drivers at real time with a very important thing, which is winning actions. And I think this winning actions is really a big summary for everything I talked about. Our aim is really to work with all of you guys to help you generate winning actions, not any actions, but winning actions that can help you to win in your business, beat the competition, disrupt the market, and survive in these unprecedented times. So moving to the next slide, and which is my last slide, and that really tries to summarize and put everything together, guys. So we've talked about this connect, unify, and predict a cycle. So at the bottom, you have the connect capabilities, your ESB, your microservices, your rules engine, your low-code applications, your APIs that connects and brings all kinds of data from your organization or from your partners, from on-premise, on cloud, from your IT devices, etc. Then we have the data management and the unified segments where we have master data management, metadata management, reference data management, data virtualization that helps us to really deliver all kinds of exciting solutions like anything 360, data governance, data catalog, logical data warehouse is very, very powerful. On top of that, this is where we have the analytics capabilities from visual analytics, data science, streaming analytics that delivers crucial capabilities like AutoML, machine learning operations, embedded analytics, streaming BI, streaming data science. And the beauty again, and I'm gonna stop with this, is really every segment is unique by itself. Putting everything together is what differentiates TIBCO and what's gonna differentiate you guys to compete and have those winning actions. Thank you, L'Oreal.
Thank you very much, Bashar. We really appreciate your thorough run through of transforming your data into action with TIBCO Connected Intelligence. Great presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a few minutes remaining, so I invite you to type in your questions in the Zoom question box in your control panel, and I will ask Bashar the questions on your behalf, so that if there are any questions that you still may have at this point. For Ms. Arwa, who wanted to ask a question during the presentation, please I ask you to also pop your question into that question box, and I will run that through with Bashar. We have approximately 120 participants, so I'll take the first few questions. And please note that the questions that don't get answered in the time remaining will be addressed to Bashar via his email address, which we will share with you in a post-webinar email. So if your question does not get answered, we are very happy to get that question answered to you post this webinar series. And on the screen, you will see Bashar's email. You're welcome to jot that down and to pose any additional questions or to connect with him directly post this webinar. So Bashar, to start off with, the first question that we have is from India, from Mr. Rajesh Mishra. He spoke, so you spoke a bit about it, but please can you elaborate on 360 anything?
Sure. Thank you, L'Oreal. It's a great question. So 360 anything, it really takes master data management to the next level. So if we think about MDM and we take a customer example, so I manage, let's say that I have requirements to have a clean customer data for their address, locations, etc. So you go, you buy an MDM platform and you manage that customer data, but then it sits in isolation. 360 anything really blends master data and metadata with transactional data using data virtualization technology. So at the end of the day, you have a customer 360 view that connects to this customer clean data along with transactional data of this customer, like his sales orders, purchase orders, and then deliver that unified customer view, the 360 view of that customer to your analytical users or to your consuming applications. And you can literally have anything as 360, whether it's customers, products, inventories, accounts, anything you think of, any object, you can have that 360 view of it, you combining data virtualization and or data management.
Excellent, thank you, Bashar. The next question we have is from a gentleman by the name of Khalid Alatawi. Data governance and management is an essential factor for data to action process, but how is it possible to apply governance on streaming data?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, if you asked me this question probably last month, L'Oreal, I would tell you, and thank you, Khalid, for the question. I would tell you that it's almost not impossible, but it's very difficult. You know, streaming data is streaming data. It's coming. I need to visualize it. But how we're doing it today is lately we've added streaming capability to our data virtualization platform. So in data virtualization, this is where we can govern the streaming data. We can define governance policies and access policies, who can access that. Probably if I have a huge set of streaming data, I only want to allow certain fields to be accessed by certain persons. So we can define all of that governance and policies in our data virtualization. And again, this is one of the innovations that I talked about for data virtualization, bringing streaming data in data virtualization.
Excellent, thank you. Another question we have is again from India, from Mr. Prakash Ramachandran. You have touched briefly on the TIBCO integration capabilities, but what about IoT and device integration?
Okay, again, that's another great question, L'Oreal. And that really brings, this question really brings the discussion of this data to action from our central ecosystem to the edge and to the devices side. So the innovation that we had in this that enables the answer to this question is what we have something called TIBCO Flogo. So TIBCO Flogo is a lightweight integration platform that we have developed that's very lightweight, that can actually be deployed on the edge devices. And on the edge devices, we're able to make real-time actions. We can actually deploy a machine learning capabilities into these edge devices and execute them using TIBCO Flogo. So TIBCO Flogo is really what enables that IoT integration if we want to do it on the edge itself. If we need just to connect to different IoT devices, we have different connectivity like MQTT protocols. We can connect to OPC, UA, WhatSML, Pi, and lots of IoT streaming equipments. But the TIBCO Flogo is really is the innovation that brings this whole data to action to the edge side and to the device side.
Okay, perfect. There is another question here. I can't see who it's from, excepting for a single name from Dana. Does TIBCO have built-in data science modules?
Yeah, so we have a very comprehensive data science platform, and as you've seen in the slides, guys, it's really one of the leaders in the latest report. So, and that data science platform, it has really all kinds of capability that allows you to create new data science models, or bring your own data science models that you wrote in R or Python, or even bring TensorFlow models in our data science platform, and to manage that and govern that and collaborate in it. Plus a long list of out-of-the-box data science models available with the tools itself, so that you can use immediately. And then I'm going to link this question to the accelerators piece as well. So in the accelerators that we provide as well, for example, the drilling accelerator or the predictive maintenance for submersible pumps, or for trading, or for fraud detections, we are actually shipping ready-made data science models to achieve the anticipated results of every accelerator. And they're all available open source on our community page.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Bashar. I'm going to take 2 more questions in the time remaining. The rest of the questions we will have answered post the webinar. So the message or the question from Arwa Bashar is, in oil and gas industry, ML algorithm need to communicate with commercial softwares to complete the technical workflow. How does TIBCO handle the complete workflow cycle to get the ultimate output?
Yeah, I mean, and this is a very critical and important question, and obviously it requires lots of elaboration, and it as well relates to the answer that I just gave on the data science model. So with the whole cycle that we have, we allow you to write your own data science models, or bring your own data science models, deploy those models to our streaming platform, and then integrate those streaming capabilities with these commercial applications, with the data that's coming from them, and execute these models at real time. So definitely we can bring the data that's coming from these commercial systems, or these models that's executed over there. And as I said before, not only our own data science models we can use in this whole cycle, but if you have models written in R, in TensorFlow, PML, H2O, we can bring all of these and execute them in our platform. So this is on the execution side. Now on the governance and management, so the data science workbench and tools that we deliver, it helps you to really catalog all the data science that you have, to manage them, to govern them, to collaborate with users. We've lately as well added AutoML that helps you to with the data set that you have, it generates automatically the data science models for you, and the test that you need to run to identify what's the best model that you need to select. So it's a very comprehensive platform that brings TIBCO closer to the whole ecosystem around it, and this end-to-end data science cycle.
Excellent, thank you. And then the last question for this session, coming through from Dr. Sanjay: what type of predictive and prescriptive analytics do you suggest to counter the supplier issues in COVID-19 situation and bring about a new normal?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting question. Thank you, Mr. Sanjay, Dr. Sanjay. And I think with the platform that we have, with the visibility, real-time visibility that we can bring to any organization, the platform can really help in the supply chain and demand cycle. So with the integration and streaming capability, we are able really to look at the our inventories at real time, and we can diagnose whatever we have today and the current situation of our inventories and our current supply chain cycle, and then we can have so we can see things as they happen at real time, and in conjunction we can work on creating those analytical and predictive models that helps us to anticipate what could be the demand based on these real-time readings, or based on these dynamic changes that's happening today, to recommend what would be the best and optimal and ideal solution to manage the supply and demand. Do I need to fill my inventory in this area? Do I need to talk to this partner or to that supplier or to that partner? So the beauty of the platform is it can really bring all of these changes and all of this data that's happening around us, give us that real-time visibility, the predictions, and the giving us the prospective analytics that can recommend to us where I should, what enhancements and actions I need to take to optimize the inventories that I have and the whole supply chain cycle that I have. So it's really about putting the end-to-end platform together to deliver such solutions, just like what we're doing with many other use cases around predictive maintenance, or we're working as well in the US on a similar, it's not similar, I mean, it's similar in terms of supply chain, but it's on the medical equipments and in terms of the resources, the medical resources available and the beds available in different areas in the US based on the different outbreaks and hotspots that we are having, and the real-time data and the predictions that we're building.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Bashar. We really appreciate your input on that. So it looks like that's all we have time for today. However, Bashar, is there anything else you wanted to mention in closing before we wrap up?
Thank you, L'Oreal, and thank you all for your attendance, and I really appreciate your time. It's been really a true pleasure. Please, if you have any further questions, please feel free to send them to me. I'll be more than happy to answer them and engage with you on one-to-one basis. Thank you all, and thank you, L'Oreal, for hosting this and orchestrating it.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much, Bashar, for being the presenter today. We also look forward to your next session that's coming up in our BCT TIBCO webinar series. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of our session. Thank you very much for joining the Bahwan Cybertech and TIBCO webinar today. And we look forward to sharing a number of very relevant and transformative topics with you in our upcoming webinar series throughout May, June, and July. We will be sharing the recording of the session with you, and you will also be sending you a short survey on this webinar. Please do fill it in and let us know your thoughts on today's session, especially with Mr. Bashar Khalil. Until next time, stay safe and stay well. Have a good afternoon.